Vasko and Coastal Carolina dominate Jacksonville State. ULM pounds Jackson State. It's a bonus episode of Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, everybody. Dave Schultz with you. Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid September 30th until September 30th and only on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. We'll get into more to that later. Okay, a little bit day late with this. Sorry about that. Ran out of time yesterday. We'll do this before we go to work today. What a game by Coastal Carolina and Ethan Vasko and the Coastal Carolina defense. Again, we've been stressing, and I guess when I say we, same coach, same quarterback. And although Ethan Vasko didn't start the season last year with Coastal Carolina, he was in the program, finished 3-1, 7 touchdowns, couple interceptions, wins a bowl game. Meanwhile, Jacksonville State replacing their all-everything quarterback, and then they replaced the starter, 4 series in? We didn't score on the first drive. Then a shutout on the second drive, and then a turnover on the third drive. I think that's the way that it went. Yeah, 3 plays and out, field goal, and then scoop and score. And all of a sudden, like that, it's 17-3. And Rich Rod is throwing Rich Rod tantrums on the sidelines. Meanwhile, Coastal Carolina was outstanding. They win 55-27. And honestly, guys, it wasn't that close, right? Jacksonville State scored some points in the fourth quarter, but this was all Coastal Carolina. Their biggest lead of the day, 41-13, with 3:13 left to go. Well, maybe even 48-13. 9-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. I mean, this was dominating. They scored double figures in every single quarter. 17 in the first, 14 in the second, 10 in the third, right? And, Jacksonville State, 3 in the first, 7 in the second, and none in the third quarter. Coastal Carolina may be a little bit better than we thought. All right. Jacksonville State was a mess. I think some of that was Jacksonville State, but I think a lot of that was East Carolina for sure. Ethan Vasko was pretty good. 12-19, 249, a couple of touchdowns, and he did throw an interception. Noah Kim did get in there at the end, and he had a touchdown pass. Vasko did run it 12 times, 39 yards for a touchdown. But how about Coastal Carolina running it 56 times for almost 300 yards and 3 scores? That's the kind of thing where we're telling you what we're doing, and you still can't stop us. Meanwhile, one of the best offenses in the country last year, and certainly on the ground, was Jacksonville State, and they had all of 123 yards on the ground. They rushed 30 times. They did have almost over 4-yard average, but never into this. Coastal's defense did a great job getting off the field on third down. Jacksonville State just 1 of 10 on third down conversions. It was just all Coastal Carolina, I will say. We did have Coastal with the point spread, and we took Coastal on the money line. So we made a little bit of cash on that one. Coastal, gets now a little bit extra time. Now they're taking on William and Mary. That should be a win. We saw what Temple did against Oklahoma. That's probably going to be a win. And then they're hosting Virginia. Could Coastal Carolina start out 4-0? And then they get Old Dominion. And then you got a huge matchup with James Madison. That's not until October 10th. In fact, they do get a week off between Virginia and Old Dominion. But by September 21st, could this team be 4-0? And maybe, it's not App State. It's not only App State. It's not only Texas State. It's not only JMU. See what the Cajuns do, right? By the way, JMU gets to play Carolina and no Max Johnson, on a side note. So congratulations to Tim Beck and Coastal Carolina for getting a thoroughly dominating victory in game one of the season over Jacksonville State. Meanwhile, ULM had to wait a minute. And again, these East Coast kick times are killing me. I don't think that game started until 8 p.m. Central Time. And they had a little fight on their hands with ULM hosting Jackson State, right? We got Coastal playing Jacksonville State and ULM playing Jackson State. And they pulled away in the second half. It was tied. In fact, Jackson State tied the ball game in the second half. They had a 14-7 lead at halftime. Jackson State's tied it at 14. And then it was all ULM Warhawks. General Booty, okay. Says 10 of 14 for only 104 yards and a touchdown. But I'm looking at turnovers, none. All right. Look at that rushing total, 204 yards, really pounding it into the ground. 41 times, 5 yards a carry. What ULM did was prevent Jackson State from getting anything going. Only less than 3 yards a carry on the ground. That's really impressive. You're going to win a lot of football games. Overall, Jackson State, a grand total of 288 yards. Most of that in the air. They're very good in the air. And you're trying to figure out why they didn't do a little bit better. They had a couple of turnovers. They had a couple of turnovers, and was it a couple of turnovers? Let's see what we did here. And ULM just did a great job, and they were 24-29 passing. So that may be a thing, as maybe ULM was, trying to get in there and stop the run type of deal. Let's see here. Where did my stats go? There we go. All right. Jacoby and Morgan, 23 of 28, 228 yards. They had one touchdown. He had one touchdown and one interception. So they only had the one turnover. But I mean, you see, when you look at rushing and ULM, that's why I said ULM pounds Jackson State, 204 yards rushing to 61 yards rushing. You're going to win some football games. I mean, I don't know if people thought it was supposed to be prettier. They covered. It was only 9, and they covered. I don't know why Bryant Vincent has to, defend himself for winning a football game, right? They've lost 10 in a row. That's not him, but he's the head coach. So now it's we. We had lost 10 in a row before that, and we just got to win. That's huge. Now that UAB's coming into town, that's going to be a thing. All right. UAB with a big win, kind of a dominating performance, both offensively and defensively on Friday night. And that's going to be a challenge for ULM for sure. But you certainly can't complain about a 30-14 victory over Jacksonville State or Jackson. I knew I was going to do that at least once. Jackson State. ULM doesn't get victories all that often, and they got a 16-point win. That's a 2-score. That's at least almost a 3-score game. So that's a good job by ULM. I would think that a couple things. They may have been very basic, only throwing it 15 times and keeping it on the ground. I think that's okay. That could have been for UAB's purposes. And this is all a new thing, right? We got 73 new players, right? Do they all know each other's names yet? Right? And General Booty was efficient. How can you be upset about 10 of 14? Didn't throw it very much, but also didn't turn it over. And he had Ahmad Hardy with 103 yards on 19 carries. That's 5 yards in average, right? 5 yards per carry, 5.5 yards per carry. James Jones, 9 carries and 54 yards, 6 yards per carry. So ULM wore him down, and that's a great job by the Warhawks. So Coastal Carolina announces they're back if they ever went anywhere. And again, they may start out the season. They very well could start out the season, should start out the season 3-0, and very well could start out the season 4-0 if they're able to pull off a home victory against Virginia. Also, special shout out. We're heading to the UK Southern Miss ball game today, and we did get some visitors in in Jim Beam, where I'm working now. The Lincoln Road chapter of the Southern Miss Alumni Association popped into Jim Beam. Big fans of Locked On Sunbelt. Appreciate them coming on in. Very clearly could see who they were rooting for. Great job by them. And we will hopefully, we won't see them at the game, but hopefully it'll be a good game today. Let's see, it's 28. That's a lot of points. I got Southern Miss covering, or actually I had ODU covering. I think Southern Miss is going to cover too, to be honest with you. They need to play a game where, I don't know if they're going to be in it, but they need to be competitive. Let's be honest, right? This is not Alabama. It's not LSU. It's not Georgia, right? Let's step up and see if they can compete. I guess they've beaten them a couple of times now. So we'll see how Southern Miss does against UK, but we will be there covering the game. Speaking of that, as I mentioned, today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. I'm going to need it because it's going to be a long day at work, and then it's going to be a little bit of a drive to Lexington, and then I got to drive home, and then I got to get up and get back to work. So you can count on the idea that I'm absolutely going to need some 5 Hour Energy, and I will have no problem using it multiple times over the next couple of days. My order is going to take a little bit of time to get here, but I absolutely used the promo code LOCKEDONCFB to get my 20% off. You get with zero sugar and a convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick me up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore, like a watermelon, tropical burst. I got the tropical burst, grape, berry, and more. There's a flavor for everyone. Try them all. On the site, you'll even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5energy.com, number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5 Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code, which I used, and it did work, LOCKEDONCFB, to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only available until September 30th and only on one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Hopefully that's going to come in handy because, again, it's going to be a long day, but it's going to be a fun day, right? I get to go talk about bourbon all day long, and then I get to go cover one of the few Sunbelt games I'll be able to attend to this season. So worked out because game's at night. If this game was during the day, I wouldn't be able to get there. So looking forward to it. Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubiak on the call, presume on the SEC network. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I got to get to work. Have a great day. Should be an amazing day of football. It's going to be interesting how I can keep up with it. Not allowed to be on my phone. All right. Have a good one, folks. Thanks for tuning in. A little bit of a bonus episode of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.